Welcome back to Black Horizon X. The place where the truth hides and we come to find it. Most channels will tell you what the government wants you to hear. We tell you what they are desperately trying to keep buried. If you are new here, this is not your average news channel. This is the channel that goes deeper. Further. Into the places most people are too afraid to look. So if you are ready to see the world for what it really is, sit down, turn off the lights and stay with me. Because once you see what we are about to uncover today, you will never look at things the same way again. This is Black Horizon X, and the truth is closer than you think. 3 people are already dead. 17 Americans are trapped on a ship in the middle of the ocean. And the virus spreading between them has no cure. This is not a movie. This is happening right now today as you watch this video, and the world is only just beginning to pay attention. On April 1, 2026, a luxury cruise ship called the MV Hondius departed from Ushuaia, Argentina. Ushuaia is the southernmost city in the world, sitting at the very tip of South America where the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans meet. The ship was carrying around 150 passengers and crew from 23 different nationalities. Tickets for this cruise cost between 14,000 and 22,000 euros per person. These were not ordinary tourists. These were wealthy travelers on a once-in-a-lifetime expedition to Antarctica and the remote islands of the South Atlantic. Nobody on that ship had any idea that one of the passengers had already been infected with one of the deadliest viruses known to science. The virus is called Hantavirus. More specifically, the Andes strain of Hantavirus. And here is why that matters. There are many types of hantavirus in the world. Most of them can only spread from infected rodents to humans through contact with rodent urine droppings or saliva. Once a human gets infected from a rodent, that is normally where it stops. Human-to-human transmission is considered extremely rare. But the Andes virus is different. The Andes virus is the only strain of hantavirus in the entire world that scientists have confirmed can spread directly from one human being to another. And it was the Andes virus that got onto the MV Hondius. And it was the Andes virus that started moving through the passengers on that ship, trapped together in close quarters in the middle of the ocean with no way off and no cure. The first person to fall ill was a 70-year-old Dutch man. Before the cruise, he and his wife had spent 4 months traveling through South America. They went through Chile, Uruguay and Argentina. They visited remote areas that are known to be natural habitats for the species of rat that carries the Andes virus. Scientists believe that somewhere along that 4-month journey, this man came into contact with an infected rodent or its droppings and the virus entered his body. But hantavirus has an incubation period of 1 to 8 weeks. That means a person can be infected and feel perfectly healthy for weeks before symptoms appear. So when this Dutch man boarded the Hondius on April 1, he felt fine. He had no idea he was already carrying a deadly virus inside him. And neither did anyone else on that ship. 10 days into the voyage, on April 11, the Dutch man suddenly developed a fever, headache, abdominal pain and diarrhea. His condition rapidly deteriorated. He died on board the ship on April 11. He was the first victim. His wife, who had been in constant close contact with him, began showing the same symptoms. She was taken off the ship at the remote island of St. Helena on April 24. She was flown to Johannesburg, South Africa. She died 2 days later in a hospital there on April 26. She was the second victim. A third passenger, a German national, also died. 3 people dead. And the ship was still weeks away from reaching port. By the time the World Health Organization was officially notified on May 2, 2026, the situation had become a full international crisis. 8 cases had been confirmed or suspected. 3 people were dead. 1 British passenger had been medically evacuated and was fighting for his life in intensive care in a critical but stable condition. A Swiss patient had been confirmed infected and was being treated in Zurich. And 147 passengers and crew were still trapped on the ship, with 1 dead body still on board, still drifting through the Atlantic Ocean, not yet allowed to dock anywhere because no country wanted to take the risk. The ship tried to dock at Cape Verde. The local facilities were not equipped to handle a safe evacuation. The ship was refused. Then it headed toward the Canary Islands, which are part of Spain. But the president of the Canary Islands, Fernando Clavijo, said, and I am quoting him directly, he said he cannot allow the Hondius to enter the Canaries. He refused to let the ship dock because the people of the Canary Islands were terrified. They had lived through COVID-19. They knew what a virus spreading through a population felt like. And they did not want to be the place where a new outbreak began. The cruise company fired back, saying that Spain has a moral and legal obligation to assist these people. Eventually, Spain's central government overruled the Canary Islands president. The ship was given permission to dock at the port of Granadilla in Tenerife. Spain's health minister Mónica García called the planned evacuation procedures unprecedented. This morning, May 10, 2026, at around 5:30 in the morning local time, the MV Hondius finally arrived at the port of Tenerife. The evacuation process is now underway. The CDC, which is America's top disease control agency, deployed a team of epidemiologists and medical professionals to the Canary Islands specifically to assess every single American passenger before they are allowed to return home. The 17 American passengers are planned to be flown on a U.S. government medical repatriation flight to Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska, where they will be transported to the National Quarantine Center at the University of Nebraska for further monitoring. The U.S. State Department released a statement saying the administration is closely monitoring the situation and that the top priority remains the health and safety of all U.S. passengers. Norway sent an air ambulance plane to Tenerife on standby in case anyone deteriorates during the evacuation process. WHO has shipped 2,500 diagnostic kits from Argentina to laboratories in 5 countries to strengthen testing capacity around the world. Now here is where it gets darker. Much darker. Because there is something about this virus that the mainstream headlines are glossing over and that you need to understand. Hantavirus kills approximately 40% of the people it infects. Let that number sit with you for a moment. 40%. For context, COVID-19 had a death rate of somewhere between 1 and 3% in most countries, and it shut down the entire world for 2 years. Hantavirus kills 40% of the people it infects. There is no specific antiviral treatment. There is no vaccine. Doctors can only provide supportive care, which means oxygen machines, hydration tubes, and hoping the patient's body can fight it off on its own. The symptoms begin like a standard flu. Fever, muscle aches, fatigue, headache. Then within days it progresses to something terrifying. The lungs begin to fill with fluid. The heart weakens. Patients go into acute respiratory distress syndrome, which means they cannot breathe on their own. Then shock. Then organ failure. Then death. And it can move from first symptoms to death in as little as 48 to 72 hours. Here is another thing nobody is saying loudly enough. The incubation period for the Andes virus is 1 to 8 weeks. That means every single person who was on that ship or who came into contact with any passenger who disembarked at St. Helena or any other stop along the way could be carrying the virus right now without knowing it. Around 30 passengers disembarked at St. Helena in late April before anyone knew there was an outbreak. Those people have now scattered across the world. Health officials in multiple countries, including the United States, Singapore, and several European nations, are right now racing to track down and monitor everyone who left that ship early. WHO has already said it expects more cases to emerge. The question is how many and where. Now let us zoom out and think about the bigger picture, because this story is about more than one ship. It is about a pattern. A pattern of how deadly viruses move in a world where humans travel faster and farther than ever before in history. The Dutch man who is believed to be the index case, the first person infected, spent 4 months wandering through remote areas of South America known to have populations of infected rodents. He did not know he was putting himself at risk. He was a birdwatcher on a nature trip. He came home from that trip, boarded a luxury cruise ship with 150 other people from 23 different countries, and within days of falling ill his wife was dead, and a virus that can spread between humans was moving through a closed ship in the middle of the ocean. Think about how many airports he passed through. Think about how many hotels he slept in. Think about how many other people he breathed the same air with in the weeks before he got on that ship. The World Health Community got lucky that this virus was identified while the ship was still at sea. What if it had not been? What if those passengers had docked normally and gone home normally without anyone knowing? The Andes virus would have spread silently to more than 20 countries before a single alarm was raised. The CDC is telling Americans the risk to the general public is extremely low. The WHO is saying the same thing. And they may well be right. The Andes virus does not spread as easily as COVID-19. It requires close prolonged contact to move between people. It does not float through the air the way a respiratory virus does in a crowded subway. But here is the question that nobody at the CDC or WHO is answering and that we at Black Horizon X are going to ask directly. How many other travelers right now are sitting in remote corners of South America coming into contact with infected rodents without knowing it? How many of them will board a plane or a cruise ship in the coming weeks carrying a virus that takes up to 8 weeks to show symptoms? How many of them will sit next to you in a restaurant or shake your hand before anyone finds out? The system caught this outbreak because 3 people died on a ship. That is how we found out. 3 people had to die before the alarm was raised. We are living in a world where deforestation is pushing humans deeper into habitats where these rodents live. We are living in a world where global travel means a virus picked up in a remote Argentine valley on a Tuesday can be on a ship in the middle of the Atlantic by the following week and in an American city by the week after that. The MV Hondius outbreak is a warning. Whether the world chooses to hear that warning or whether it waits for the next one is a different question entirely. Right now as you finish watching this video, the evacuation of the Hondius is ongoing. Passengers in hazmat suits are being guided off the ship. American citizens are being flown to military bases for quarantine. Scientists in Argentina are trapping and testing rodents along the route the first victim traveled, trying to find exactly where and how this virus made the jump from animal to human. And health officials in dozens of countries are quietly making phone calls trying to find the 30 passengers who got off that ship before anyone knew it was infected. This story is not over. It is just beginning. And that is exactly why this channel exists. We are going to follow every single development of this outbreak. Every new case. Every government response. Every question that the mainstream media is too afraid to ask. Because the truth, whatever it is, belongs to the people. If this video made you think, made you question, or made you see something differently, then do one thing for me right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what is coming next on this channel will go even deeper. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Because the truth only travels as far as the people who carry it. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think the world is prepared for the next pandemic, or are we just waiting for history to repeat itself? I want to know what you think. This is Black Horizon X. Stay classified. Stay curious. And I will see you on the other side.